Bobby Lane of the Detroit Lions in the 1950s has been incredible this season, and he quarterbacks the Lions on Thanksgiving Thursday against the 1960s Houston Oilers. Remember that show, Put Up Your Dukes, with Jamie Dukes? I love that show on NFL Network, and it's discontinued, and it's really just sad. Mike Dukes, no relation to that guy, he picks off Bobby Lane, who then comes back late in the half with a touchdown pass here to Dorn Dibble, and through 2 quarters, Houston has the lead 13-7. Despite an excellent performance by George Blanda, his offense, after this big passing play, would commit 3 turnovers for the football game. And here, on a 1st and 10 in Lions territory, he gets crushed. Blaine Aaron picks up his second fumble and brings it back for a Detroit touchdown. The Oilers are dominating the Lions statistically, but Detroit has the third quarter lead as he just gets nailed. Les Bingaman took a shot at him, yet George Blanda, in an absolutely incredible game for the quarterback out of Kentucky, wills the team right downfield, down a point in the third quarter. There's Charlie Hennigan, his first 100-yard receiver of the ball game, is in the end zone, and Houston is back on top. 2-point conversion is successful, 21-14. Lions drive the distance in the fourth quarter, and Cloyce Box makes a sensational one-hand grab in the end zone to tie the game. Incredible catch. 409 yards passing, a DSFL Thanksgiving record for George Blanda, and his second touchdown of the game to his second 100-yard receiver, that is Willard Duvial. Bobby Lane of the Lions with a shot to come back and tie it yet again, but his offense just 1 of 10 on third down here. He is sacked by Ed Culpepper. They give the ball right back to Houston. The Oilers have a chance to ice it, but then Blanda throws incomplete. So Detroit gets another chance. On 3rd and 10, as I mentioned, they were horrendous on third down. There's a drop at the 42-yard line. So on 4th and 10, Detroit will go for it, needing a touchdown to tie, and the pass is incomplete. The 1960s Houston Oilers, now at 4-7, keep their slim playoff hopes alive as they beat the team that still, despite what will happen in Week 12, they will still be first place in the NFC North. What a football game. Houston wins it by a touchdown. The cool part about these Thanksgiving games of the DSFL 6 is that they all have major playoff implications. Here's the second. The NFC race is airtight. Look at the left for division leaders. They are all 7-3. Now, we just saw Detroit lose today, so they're 7-4. 7-3 Dallas, way in front of the NFC East battles the second seed. That is the 80s Redskins. They're a half game back in the final wild card spots. Cowboys go the distance on the first drive of the game. Emmitt Smith, the Hall of Fame running back and the league leader in rushing this season, scores his first of 2 touchdowns as he sweeps outside and scores in front of that Redskin defense. Dallas goes downfield after a Washington field goal. Michael Irvin makes a big play here, and the Cowboys on a sensational drive down the stretch of the first half cap it off with an Aikman touchdown pass to Michael Irvin. It's yet another one for the playmaker, his 7th of the year. Joe Theismann, we all know that Washington quarterback who broke his leg in one of the most just excruciating injuries that we have ever seen in a football game. Well, for the 80s Redskins, he was brilliant, along with on this 2-minute drill to end the first half. He finds his running back, Joe Washington, his wide receiver, Gary Clark, who had a sensational day for the Redskins and was the game leader in the Thanksgiving slate for receiving. And there's Don Warren for the touchdown. So our score is 14-10. The 90s Cowboys lead it, despite nearly 200 yards from scrimmage for that incredible Washington offense. In the third quarter, though, Joe Theismann on third down wouldn't get any help from his receiver as that pass is dropped over the middle to Brown. And Dallas would go on an incredible drive. Smith scores his second touchdown run. The possession was of an astounding, an absolutely unreal 14 plays, 81 yards in 5 minutes and 4 seconds for the team that leads the whole league in time of possession. So Washington must be thinking, shoot, we have like no time to set up our offense. And 3 plays later, Theismann is picked off by Deion Sanders, who has been remarkable in the Dream Season Football League this year. That's another interception for the Hall of Fame cornerback. Emmitt Smith loses his first fumble of the year. and the Redskins pick it up at the 11-yard line. Then Washington, a team that for the day was 10 for 16 on third down and 1 for 2 on fourth down, would keep the drive alive here on this Thanksgiving Thursday. Theismann pushes them into the red zone on a sensational drive, but on the clinching play, Casillas forces a fumble recovered by the diving Ken Norton. So the 90s Cowboys have a firm lead in the NFC East. In fact, they may all but win the division if they keep this one going for the next couple of Sundays. Washington falls to a game and a half back of the final NFC wildcard spot. They are now 5-6 despite a sensational day out of their wide receiver, Gary Clark. 21-18, the 90s Cowboys win again. The 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers, there on the left, tied with the Colts and the Patriots for the best record in the AFC. The Steel Curtain that won 4 Super Bowls in a 6-year span battled division rival Baltimore in the rain on Thursday night. Ravens and Steelers, it's always a good one. These are two of the premier defenses, ranked 2nd for Pittsburgh and 16th for Baltimore in the DSFL, and both would play well in this football game today. To close the first quarter, he goes deep, does Bradshaw, and finds Stallworth. 4 catches for 84 yards for the game for the Hall of Famer, but Bradshaw at the goal line loses the football in a big play to begin the second quarter, and Ed Reed recovers at the goal line. The Ravens defense denies Bradshaw. His only turnover of the football game is a big one because Baltimore would then consequently, over the final few minutes of the half, convert not 1 fourth down, but 2 of short yardage by Ray Rice, the running back from Rutgers, Rutro. Rich Eisen impersonation, my best, not quite the greatest. Ray Rice in the end zone pushes the Ravens in front 10-3 at the half, and now 10-6 in the third quarter on Thanksgiving night. Whether it was the rain or something, Flacco was just off. 83 yards for the football game. He is sacked here in the third quarter. And on 1st and 10, Preston Pearson will have the longest run of Thanksgiving Day. It's a big one inside the Ravens' 15-yard line. 64 yards on 4 carries for the day for the tailback out of Illinois. But Pittsburgh would be denied through 3 quarters in the red zone again. The red zone issues were really the story of the game going into the fourth quarter as Jarrella hits the field goal. And this game goes from bad to worse for the quarterback. He is hurt on the sack there by Jack Lambert and leaves for the remainder of the game. Tyrod Taylor takes over for the injured Joe Flacco. And on 1st and 10, here he goes against the Pittsburgh defense that very rarely played any sort of scrambling quarterbacks in the 1970s, but kudos to Jack Ham, who 3 plays later saw the run coming from Tyrod Taylor, and he makes the third down stop. Steelers get the ball back down 1, and they're desperate here. They can't afford to lose this football game. They fall to the 5 seed if they lose, and the Patriots and Colts win in Week 12. Bradshaw gets some luck here. Nearly picked off by Chris Carr. It winds up into the hands of Lynn Swann, and a roughing the passer penalty was tacked on top of it for the Ravens. Just an absolute nightmare for John Harbaugh and that dynasty that won 1 Super Bowl. The Ravens did so over the 49ers in 2012, that incredible run from Joe Flacco in the postseason. And then Randy Grossman in the end zone to give Pittsburgh the lead. They finally cracked the code inside the red zone, and their only red zone touchdown on the night. So the Steelers lead 17-10. It should be noted that these teams have faced off in the DSFL 6 times coming into today. The Steelers have won every time. 4 completions for the day for Tyrod Taylor, and then 1 to the opposite team. This to ice it. Mike Wagner picks him off the deflection, and the 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers, the dynasty that won 4 Super Bowls in a 6-year span, they have iced the game against the Ravens and are tied for the best record in the league at 8-3 this season. They may be in contention for a first-round bye, and they just put a capper on this one. This must completely frustrate the Ravens. If they meet in the playoffs, you got to believe Baltimore will remember that play to rub it in, as the touchdown wins it for the Steelers 24-10. So that's the special presentation of Thanksgiving. Join us on Sunday for the remaining games of Week 12 of the DSFL. And until then, let's look at the leaders for Thanksgiving Day. Houston set a record in the DSFL for Thanksgiving for offense. We'll see you on Sunday.